Okay, so what is everybody's primary reason? Is it more command specific on what green sheets and compliance will look like? Is it compliance as a whole? What is everybody's command? Okay, command. And then are you both? Are you needing like the compliance overview as well, or are you just needing command?
Mostly.
Okay, correct.
I think a compliance overview would help.
Okay, so we'll start, normally how I start, we'll go over green sheets. So everyone knows how to do a green sheet normally. We will continue to use the green sheet system for probably 2 or 3 more months until we get final word. So how that process will look like previously in Dotloop, how you would download your green sheet as a PDF. You will then just upload that PDF into command. So, but I'll go over what commissions will look like. And again, I don't have a for sure date, and then we'll hit compliance of what that will be. So in the command, everyone knows how to get there. It's agent.kw.com, and I'll write it on the board. And then you'll just use your Keller Williams username and password to log in.
Thank you.
And this is your home screen. So similar in command, it's now going to be called opportunities. So in Dotloop, it was called loops. In DocuSign, it will be called rooms. The opportunity is your lead to close system that you'll be using. So let me go to one of my opportunities. Let's see if I have any that. Okay. So in my opportunity, so that's each transaction that you already have, once it's been created, this will be the home page for that specific opportunity. So whenever I click the hands holding over here, it will show my sales pipeline, so where I'm at with my listings and buyers. And whenever I click on a specific phase of that opportunity, I can scroll down and hear all the ones that I have that are under contract for listings. So I have one specific one down here. So this is my 1234 Main Street property. So right now, my commissions tab, which will be green sheets, is grayed out and I can't click on it. This little eye over here, whenever I scroll my mouse over it, it says you will be able to view your commission whenever you have an accepted offer. So in order to do that, you will go to offers. So then once you're under contract, then you're able, and you've accepted an offer, you can then create your green sheet. So I have a couple of offers listed in here. We're a multiple offer situation. What's really cool about this is you can send an offer comparison to your clients. So if you are in a multiple offer situation, instead of outlining all of them, you can enter in the information, select all, and you can click compare offers. And right here, it'll give you a side-by-side of cash versus how much they're going to finance, if there's any earnest money, if there's any special agreements, when they've suggested their closing dates are going to be, and you could actually email this to your clients to view. So that's really cool. But once I have one offer that they've accepted, I just click accepted, and then my commissions tab is now black. So this is what your green sheet will be. So right now, since this feature, you're not able to submit it, what I recommend is continue doing your green sheets like normal, but also mimicking this into your opportunity for commissions, just so you can get a good understanding of how it's going to operate when it does go live, so that doesn't slow you down at all. So my sales price and commission percentage is pulling from my details page when I've originally outlined that in the opportunity. If I am doing a flat fee and not so much a percentage, I can click right here where it says commission, and I can type in my own amount, and it will calculate my commission percentage for me. If I am doing I've changed my commission, and now say I'm going down to 2.5 instead of 3%, I can type in 2.5, and it will automatically calculate what my commission dollar will be. So it's interactive, it's either or. So since I've outlined before, it's freaking the system out. So anytime you do something that the system doesn't like, it will give you this nice little red box. So we'll see that quite frequently as I'm demonstrating. So down here is your agent breakout. So here's my name, since I'm the one that created the opportunity. I get a unit, and here's my commission. What you'll be able to do once commissions goes live is it will update your cap tracker in real time. So previously, you would either have to give us a most recent closed transaction DA number, and we could pull it that way, or you'd have to wait till the end of the month for your multi-year trends to come out to see how close you were to capping. So now, as the office is closing out these opportunities, this will update your cap tracker in real time. So I'm 11% of my wage and my royalty cap, and 2% towards my company dollar cap has been met. Then as you scroll down here, you have your rates and your splits that are dictated from our system in the back end. Then you have deductions. So E&O is listed here, but there's not a blank in here. Our market center, you pay your E&O on your monthly bill. Some market centers, they pay E&O per transaction. So that's why it's listed here, but you can't do anything with it. You have KW Cares, KW Kids Can, and Bold Scholarships. These are all of the Keller Williams International, either scholarships and or grants. So KW Cares, if you want to donate here, you can just put information. On your green sheet now it's red, and it's required that you put at least zeros in it. Here it's fine, you just leave it this way, because it already has those zeros in there for you. KW Kids Can, which is Gary Keller's Quantum Leap program that he teaches to 18 to 24-year-olds on how to become leaders and how to create a life by design. And then the Bold Scholarship is the Keller Williams International Bold Scholarship, and they award it to agents who it's their first time taking Bold throughout all of Keller Williams. It's not market center specific. Some of you I know like to donate to Springfield Cares, which is our local charity, or you like to put money towards your office bill. If you would like to do that, you just click this Add Item button right down here, and then it pops up the drop-down menu. So the bonus is if you charge a transaction fee, and you would put that amount in here. You will not click Split with Market Center. So at our office, whenever you charge a transaction fee, only royalty is taken out of it, but we don't take a Market Center split out of it. Some brokerages, I know they're in Omaha area, all of those brokerages came together and they said our agents are going to charge a transaction fee, however the market center is going to get it. So that's why that split with market center button is there. But you'll just have to put in what your transaction fee is, but you don't click this button. And you just click add, and it would add it to your commissions. If you were wanting to, we don't do concessions here. If you're wanting to do a deduction, which is towards Springfield Cares or your office bill, you would just put in what amount you were wanting. So say $50 towards my office bill. Right now it's requiring you to say if this is a social security number or a tax identification number, the tax ID number, and description. So everything in asterisks is required to be completed. However, if you just put in the description of what you're wanting this money to go to, as far as the tax ID number and all that, you can put 9 zeros. You don't need to put the market center tax ID in every time. That's okay. Because I know majority probably won't, and as you're moving through and you're trying to get this done so you can get paid, sometimes numbers can get mixed up anyway, so that's fine. As long as you put down here that you want it to go to your office bill, so we know what it's for, then we can put that money appropriately towards it. Eventually, after commissions rolls out, there will actually be a drop-down button that you'll be able to select, so you can select what specific deduction is in our system, so it ties in appropriately. But for right now, just put a really great description in there if you're wanting to do a deduction to our office. Similar to this, if you're also wanting to do an outside referral, so we've discussed bonus, we don't handle concessions here at the office, we discussed deduction. We don't do inside referrals, but outside referrals. If you have an outside referral going to someone at a different brokerage, here's where you would do it. So add item, outside referral. You'll put everything in asterisks needs to be completed. So the referral percentage, and it will calculate the amount for you. You'll put social security number, the EIN, tax identification number. We do ask that you do put the tax ID number in because you're going to be providing the W-9 for us anyway, so we can make sure those match up with our records. And then the broker's name, who the agent it goes to, and all the rest of the information. Again, after commissions rolls out, there will be a drop down that you'll be able to select all the brokerages that we pay out in our system. So Especially if you have one referral partner that you work with a lot, it should be just a quick, easy drop down, and the rest of the information will be autofilled for you. So hoping that comes in the near future when commissions goes live. So you can just put all this information in, and you click add, and it would add it to your green sheet. So if I'm on a team, or if I'm splitting commission with somebody, or someone in the office, say Lisa and I worked on a deal, and we're going to split the commission. Where my name is here at the top for the agent breakdown, I would just put in what commission amount I'm receiving. So if we're splitting it 50-50, then as I scroll down at the bottom, there will be this add agent button. So I'm able to search for everybody that's at our brokerage. So if I type in Lisa, her name will pop up, and I click add, and I've added her to my green sheet. So here's her information. So I'm going to say that she's going to get the other half of my commission. And we're going to say we had anything to donate, we put information there. And then now it's calculated over here. So here's a snapshot of what the summary would go to the office. So our total commission is $6,000, paying $360 to royalty, $1,800 to company dollar. That's what company currency means. They wanted to streamline this between the U.S. and Canada. However, some people were getting confused of what company currency means because we say company dollar, that they're going to change it back to company dollar. And then it's paid to the agent. So I'm getting this portion after my splits. Lisa's getting this portion, and this is how much total we're paying to the office. So this is a great way to mimic what your green sheets you're submitting now, so you can feel comfortable. You just can't click submit right here. So it's grayed out. So you're able, I'm sorry. Okay. You can't submit it, but you can make sure that this matches up with your green sheet. And please, if I'm not making any sense or if you have questions, just raise your hand and ask. Michael, are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay, you kind of had a puzzle look, so I just want to make sure. So yeah, so that's how commissions will work whenever it goes live. However, right now, you'll just process your green sheets like normal, either going through MyKW or through Dotloop. And how you will upload those is, I'm going to go back to my opportunity. And under documents, when I go to the under contract, there's a green sheet right here. So I'll just click add file, and I'll upload that PDF that I'm saving of that file right now. Similar how you upload it to Dotloop, you'll upload it in here. So I would just click add file, and I would select where I'm pulling it from, and then just upload the file that way. Does that make sense for everyone? Yes?
My question is, when will the royalty and splits be live?
I'm thinking whenever commissions goes live as a whole, it will then start activity. But I'm not 100% sure on that because they've already been working on the cap tracking for about 6 months. And so, does yours look accurate?
No.
Okay. Yeah. They may have been working on it and they kind of stopped it for the time being. Because I had one referral so far this year, and that's where it had paid in for mine. But that was at the beginning of the year, so if yours is accurate.
Mine shows that I haven't paid anything in.
Probably because we ran everything in through Danny since your cap was set. I would maybe look at hers. Or you can click add agent and type her.
Could you do something to combine our cups?
How we split it though, for married couples for profit share, you would want it all to be ran through Danny until you cap. But technically you don't have a cap because you would run that production through Danny so you could receive profit share. So you may close transactions, but you wouldn't have anything going towards the cap because you're running it through her for that purpose of that.
Okay.
So maybe try add agent at the bottom and type her name, and it should pop up with her cap tracker to see if that has any cap amount to it, or say that you filled it. So try that. Lisa, is this okay? Any questions?
I have a total different issue.
Okay. In regards to commissions or compliance?
Well, I brought a file from Dotloop that's under contract.
Okay.
To command.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, I don't think I did it right because when I click on opportunities, it just says I have a listing. But then when you click on that listing, then there's anyway.
Okay.
None of it's showing up where it should be. I have assigned the documents where they're supposed to be.
Okay.
But I don't think I have that, like, it doesn't show,
It's not updating for you right
Right.
here.
it doesn't show anything under contract, and I don't have the list, I don't have the file named right because I can't figure out how to name it, the address instead of.
Okay, so I can answer that question. So whatever one you're looking at. So yeah, so whenever you create an opportunity, it's automatically going to default to their last name dash listing or buyer. So if you click on that specific one, and there should be, oh, did your computer die?
There it is.
Okay, so whenever you click on that specific opportunity, where it says general information, there's this pencil right here. And then you can scroll down. Well, it was there. Pencil. Oh, right here, opportunity name. You can just click the pencil and edit it this way. And so then what I'm recommending is to put the property address, because that's how we would search when we get the closing check, what we look for the property address. Some agents are also putting the property address dash the last name. So if they have somebody, it's easier for them to remember their client's last names, and so they can sort of do it that way. But we need it for the address portion, so we can search for it. So when you click on the opportunity, Lisa, just click the pencil next to general information, and then the opportunity name is right here, and you can update it that way. Okay. So commissions. So on October 1st, we're going to start running all of our compliance through Command. So what we're going to use Outlook for is a forms and e-signature platform. Just like we're going to use DocuSign for, just our state forms are not loaded and therefore it's yet to use them. I received an email the other day saying on November 15th that our state docs should be ready in DocuSign. I'm hoping sooner because that's towards right at the end of our 90 days of Outlook, and I'm trying to get a little bit more cushion for everybody. But you're able to connect your DocuSign account right now. If you haven't already created it, I've recorded a video on how to do that. And here in the next couple of weeks, whenever you go into your command and on your opportunity screen, there will be a blue banner at the very top, and it will say connect your account to Outlook. So what they're focusing on right now, KWRI is reaching out to all the market centers that did not renew with Outlook to let them pull their loops over. But once they've got that, then they'll focus on the market centers that did renew with Outlook. And so there'll be a blue banner at the top, and it will say, click here to connect your Outlook account. And so what it's going to do is you're going to click connect account, and you'll put in your Outlook user email and password for it to connect. And what it's going to do is it's going to pull in all of your active and under contract loops that you have labeled in Outlook. And so you're able to select which ones you want to bring over. And if there's any kind of question that they can't match it up, they'll ask you, do you want this, do you want that, and kind of get your preference, and it'll pull it over. So when it pulls it over, all of your files from Outlook, it's going to create this stage, and it's going to say legacy. And so legacy means that it was pulled in from Outlook, and each of your opportunities or your loops that were pulled over will have a custom tag, similar to where I have a custom tag right here that says Sphere and BNI, and it will say imported from Outlook. So I have one somewhere.
I'm sorry, what date did you say that's going to happen?
In the next couple of weeks. They didn't give me a definite date because they were going to work through the market centers that did renew with Outlook first. But they told me that last week. So I'm hoping this week or the next week. So what you'll do is you'll have the option of pulling in all of your active and under contract loops over first. And then after that, then they'll be able to pull over your closed loops and your archive loops as well for your records. One of the reasons for that is we've been told that we'll always have access to your loops. Because we have to have them on record for at least 7 years with the MRAC to stay in compliance. So you'll have access to them, but this is another way to get that closed information pulled over. So again, it will, once you connect it, it will pull in those loops, and you'll have a stage that is labeled legacy, and then it will have a custom tag that says imported from Outlook. So to show you a little bit better what it would look like, let me go through. contract. So that's what it would say right here. You can say imported from .loop. So let me bring it over to active. So if this imported a loop from there, this is exactly what it would look like. Legacy with imported from .loop. So you know. So what it's going to do, in order to create an opportunity, you have to have a contact added into your command. If you're pulling these loops into command from .loop, if you already have them as a contact, it will add this additional information and link them together. If you do not have them added as a contact, it will create a contact for you, so it links them together. So don't worry if you don't have a lot of contacts in there. What's in your .loop, because we'll create it for you. And then whenever your closed transactions come through, you'll have another stage just named legacy, and it'll say imported from .loop for you to see as well. So when it pulls in those loops from .loop, it's only going to pull in the loop information. It's not going to pull in the documents. But once you tie in your .loop account to command, if I'm in this transaction and I'm needing some paperwork, and I go to the Documents tab, when I click Add File, what's going to give me the option? It's going to say Manual with a little dot, which means from your computer. Another little dot right here that says DocuSign, which means you can pull it from DocuSign. So once we start using DocuSign, that's an option. Now I'll have another little dot over here that says .loop. So you're able to click .loop, and it will tie it with that loop to pull those specific documents over for you. So once we get that connected, then we can talk a little bit more. And once I see it, I've only seen it demonstrated. I haven't been able to play around with it. So we'll touch base on that more. But whenever you click Add File, it will have the option listed through here to pull it through .loop. So when we first started this process of moving compliance into command, I had to go through and create checklists. So our auditors and so all of you know what's required for documents in each specific scenario. So when it's listed, when it's under contract, when it's closed, or when you're on a buyer's consultation. So whenever I create an opportunity and I say it's a listing or a buyer, it has its own specific checklist that I went in and created. So over here on the left-hand side, you can see listed, under contract, and closed. So these would be on listed. There's placeholders that I've put in there saying, okay, the MLS data input is required. And I put a little note in there saying it's initiated on a flex. The seller's disclosures is required. The seller's agency listing agreement is required. And then as you keep scrolling down, there'll be some forms that are conditionally required. So if it's a lead-based paint. And then you have optional documents down here that are just placeholders. So I don't know what kind of disclosures the property may have, so I labeled it disclosure 1, disclosure 2, disclosure 3. So if you have 2 different kinds of disclosures other than your seller's disclosures, you can go through and add those documents in here for compliance review. So these are just placeholders of what is needed. They're not the actual documents. Then when a property goes under contract, I'll click on the under contract over here on the left-hand side, and then you can see there's more documents, placeholders that are required. So the green sheet, the contract, the signed measurement disclaimer. Then you go down, there's more conditionally required. So conditionally required piece would be the final counter offer, because it's not required that you have a counter offer, but if you do, then we need to have at least the final counter offer because that's the executed contract. But then there's the other placeholders for counter offers. So when this was originally built, I was told, okay, think of every scenario you may have, because agents cannot customize this in any way. Well, there was a lot of pushback about that, and so they created this add item button. So if I have a placeholder on here that doesn't pertain to your scenario and you have another document, you can click add item, and you're able to enter what the document name is, what kind of document it is, if it's an agreement, addendum, authorization, contract, and then you're able to add that document in there for compliance review. So when I created this, if you had other documents that needed to be submitted for compliance, you couldn't upload them yourself unless you put it in a specific placeholder. Here now you have the ability of adding those documents for there. So if I go in and I'm ready to, I have my MLS data input and I'm going to pull this from my computer, I just click add file. I would browse wherever I've saved it, and then I would just click on the document and open it, assign it to that placeholder, and then here's now I have the status saying it's uploaded. So once I go through and I add all my documents in that I need to submit compliance, then it should, then this will become ungrayed. And I just click submit to Market Center, and then that's what lets our compliance company know that it's ready for review. So whenever you get all the information in, you can just upload it and submit to Market Center. So what it looks like on my side for each of these opportunities for compliance is we have all this different, like a legend basically of what these statuses mean. So whenever you're looking at your documents and you see this little I, it says submitted, so we know you submitted your documents. The other one says resubmitted. So if you go in and we've approved a document and then it needed to be changed, we will get a legend or a symbol showing us that you've changed your document. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. And then if a document is returned, it will have a red X, and then if it's approved, it will have a green check mark. So that is our guide to let us know where the documents are at. What's really cool about this is currently and before command, the Market Center had no idea where you were at in your transaction process. The only time we knew you were processing transactions was when you were creating green sheets, because that's the only way that it would link into our system. We never received a dot loop report or anything like that because it wasn't color blame specific. Now, whenever you submit an opportunity for compliance, it will tell us where you're at. So we know on this transaction Kasha's on that she has submitted listing docs and under contract docs. And it will also tell us where she's at. So we know she hasn't done any closed. This other transaction, she is under contract on a property, but she hasn't done any closing docs, and it tells us when the closing date is, so we can project that better. So what as a compliance company we'll do is we'll just go in and click review, and then we'll be able to review the documents. Now there is, so whenever we go through and we are returning, so right here on this transaction, all of the listing docs have been approved. So you're good to go. Now the under contract, there looks like there's some documents that need to be changed. So in .loop, there was that message box at the top that sometimes had like 3 paragraphs long of what you need to create or change. And so sometimes you would take a picture of that just so you could look at it and figure out what goes to what document. What's really cool about this is that whenever we reject a document, there will be this message box right here, and it will tell you exactly what's needed for that specific document. So I know on this signed disclosure one, they need the property address, and that's all that's needed on that document to make it compliant. So you're able to go one by one. So all of these other ones have been approved, but if there was any other documents that needed to be rejected, they would have message box on there so you knew what that specific document needed. And then once we submit that back, then you will have that to correct and then resubmit. Right now, there is not a messaging center, and there's not a notification center. So it's going to be a little inconvenient at first, but you're just going to have to go in and check your opportunities to see where they're at. So in .loop, you would normally get an email to notify you, and right now they don't have that. They're working on it, they're just not away. So you'll just have to keep going in and looking at those specific opportunities to see where they're at in the process.
The file that I brought over is a listing that's under contract closing in October.
Mm-hmm.
It's already been approved through .loop. Okay. So I haven't resubmitted it.
No, you don't need to resubmit it. So whenever you bring those files over and put them into your command, so if I was on this specific one, okay, let's say I'm going to my opportunities, and I have this opportunity and run documents. What you can do is you can create custom folders over here, and I would just title the folder name, and I would say documents approved in .loop, and I would create the folder. And if you want it, whenever you go to here, you can add a document, or you can at least label, or if it's the listing and under contract docs, you could label this folder as listing and under contract docs approved and doc. Just so there's some sort of notification when we're looking at it when it goes to close, like, oh, it's in those spots. So we're trying to figure out what the best way, and we're open to whatever suggestions you have of letting the agents letting us know when they're bringing these forms over that majority were approved and dotted, because we don't want to resubmit them for compliance because we already know they're approved. But since there's not a messaging center, there's not a way for us to really know right off the bat.
Also, you know the commission disclosure that after you submit your green sheet, it automatically sends to you and you put your signature
The DA number, yeah.
DA. Where do you load that in?
Yeah.
Here.
So, great question. So, under the closed files, it will say closing DA, and so that's where we'll upload it. So when the market center, so the market center is still in the process of, the agents will be in command 100%, compliance will be rolling, commissions will be rolling. I would probably say in the next 6 to 8 months, then the market center will fully be in command. So we're the last ones to switch over. That's because our system that we call Winmore, which is like this 80s system, it's kind of funny, you have to like write code to get reports sometimes. It calculates profit share. So that's the last thing that they want to mess up is our system that calculates profit share. So whenever you're submitting these green sheets and we give you back those DAs, so they're going to be changed to opportunity IDs. And so under each opportunity, it's listed on the main details page. So that will then, when we switch over, we will then be referring it to opportunity IDs and not DA numbers. So the 369 is our office number, and then the 6 digits afterwards are your ID. So under your documents and in the closed, whenever we submit it, we will be putting the closing DA right in here for you. And then, oh, another thing, now that you mentioned green sheets that I forgot to mention, whenever, previously if you've had to update your green sheet, you'll go into .loop and add text boxes over and let us know. Whenever commissions tab goes live, you'll be able to update the commissions and just resubmit it that way. So you won't have to go in and add text boxes and let us know. So that's really cool. And then if you ever have a transaction that's mutually released, the contract fell through, there's this button on the details page of the opportunity that says lost opportunity. And you can click on that, and that will notify the market center in real time that that has been mutually released. So we know to cancel out that opportunity ID, what we would do for a VA number as well. What questions do you guys have on compliance and command? A lot.
Like in .loop, I would always make a file for inspections, repairs, invoices, that kind of thing. Not necessarily submit that, but.
So you can create custom folders here.
Okay.
And then I would say maybe put it as inspection report, create the folder, and once I click on inspection report, I can add my documents in there. So they're available. So you can create custom folders down here. They're just not needed, like you said, to be submitted for compliance. So you'll just add them here. If it is something for compliance and if there's not a placeholder for it, then that's when you click add item. What other questions?
When you start a transaction and it goes over to DocuSign, is that something, first of all, is that something we need to be doing right now?
No, so you will be, once .loop is able to do a plugin, you'll be able to select if you want to start a transaction in DocuSign or .loop, and then you'll be able to use it that way. What's going to get a little tricky is, again, we'll have access to our loops until, you know, we need them. If you start a transaction in .loop, you have to always use .loop. You can't switch to DocuSign midway through. So that's going to be kind of the one thing that.
Can you restate that?
Yeah. So whenever I'm on an opportunity, and after I tie in my .loop and DocuSign account, and I click Start Transaction, if I select I'm going to use DocuSign, I have to use DocuSign the whole transaction. for that whole opportunity. If I select dot loop, I'm gonna have to use dot loop for that whole transaction. So I can't switch between the two. So similar to now, in compliance, we're doing a hard cutoff. So whenever we get our forms in DocuSign, we're gonna say, okay, our forms are loaded in DocuSign, let's make that switch. So moving forward, trying to do everything out of DocuSign.
So really, right now, you just want everything there in command. Like, we're not doing any compliance that we're doing right now is the same way. You just want all of our.
Correct, all the documents. So yeah, so signatures and forms, dot loop is your way, but compliance will be in command. So yeah, so you can get all the signatures you want in dot loop, just bring them over to command for compliance. So if you have any transactions closing this month, like September, we'll still be operating out of dot loop for compliance, but starting October 1, we're switching all compliance into command.
Okay.
So if you start submitting documents in dot loop after that, our compliance people are not going to look there. I mean, we have access to it, but their main focus is going to be the ones in command. Yeah. So any documents you have, and if they've already been approved, that's fine. Just make a note that they've already been approved in command so we know. Or you don't submit it for compliance, and so we kind of have a better understanding. It's gonna be a little bit of a transition, but more communication the best. So since there's not a messaging service, please flood my email with all the communication possible. That's fine. Or don't worry. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Chris, really technically you don't need to use the start transaction button until we can connect our documents.
Okay.
In DocuSign, it will be called rooms, not loops. So that's a change in verbiage. So once we are able to start using DocuSign, it will be called rooms. Differences between DocuSign and dot loop. In dot loop, if you're having a husband and wife or two signers, they have to have two separate emails in order to send documents to them to sign. In DocuSign, you can use one email. But what you'll do is you will then assign them like a special code. So I may assign someone 111 and then the other person 112. So you'll go through and you'll say, okay, Steve is going to sign these specific ones. Mary's going to sign these ones. Steve's code is 111, Mary's is 112. So then you can text them or email them and say, hey, I'm about to send an envelope, because that's what they call the documents when you email them over as an envelope. I'm about to send an envelope with documents over. This is your code, and then this is your code, and they'll just put in their code and it will direct them where they need to get their signatures at. Whenever you're assigning the codes, there will be a message box that says, add a message here if you want. Don't put the code in there, because they have to put the code in before they can see the message. So in the message box, you may be describing what the document is or what it's needed for, but you'll have to send separate text or email with those codes for them to sign.
And will there be like a dominant signer? Because like in dot loop, one person would have to sign before that.
Yeah, so if once I put my code in, I'm signing all of the ones that are assigned to me. Then it'll say finish signing, kind of like dot loop. And then I'll click, okay, start signing, and I'll put in my code, and then it will take everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
But one doesn't have to sign necessarily before that.
No, never. You're just assigning it to different things. And then as we get closer to our DocuSign rollout, we'll have individual classes just on DocuSign as well. So we're trying to make this as painless as possible. So compliance first, and then we'll work on DocuSign, and then we'll work on commissions, and it's just a ever-changing process. Anyone else have any questions over compliance? No? Okay. Yeah, okay. As we go through this process again, please email me. I'm the KLRW369 email. Just let me know if you have any questions or what I can help you with. As we're going through these transactions, if you're like, man, I really just need to sit down with her and show her what I have, I'm scheduling one-on-one appointments with people all the time just to kind of go over their specific circumstance and help them work through that. But I'm looking for that blue banner every day to see if we can start plugging into dot loops. If you guys see it, it's great. And there's a couple of videos out there on what we can do once that happens. But the main thing is just getting that information in. If you double-sided transaction, if you have the buyer and seller, you have to create two different opportunities. So, it will be then 2 commissions technically that you're paying out on. Even though if it may be 1 check, you'll just put what you're getting paid out for this one versus this one. Because technically, whenever you're creating an opportunity, you don't know that that buyer is gonna buy that house yet, theoretically. So. A little bit of changes for compliance. We are changing over to MAR employment agreements. So Jim and Don are hosting, a lot of classes on what those agreements look like and what's needed for those, and we're also going to start requiring the measurement disclaimer. The employment agreements will take out the designated agent form, that's the GSBR form, and the employment of broker by owner by seller, those 2 forms will be removed, and it's just the MAR agency form. The placeholders in here are listed as the MAR titles of them. However, I cannot say you can only use MAR because the GSBR contracts are still contracts that are legal and you can use them. We're just trying to keep it one company, one language, because we have a lot of agents that are kind of doing both, and we have a lot of agents in the surrounding Springfield areas that use MAR. And so we're just trying to keep it similar, kind of like when we switched over to the MAR contract. It was, you know, let's get away from GSBR, let's try to focus all on MAR. And we're eliminating one, it's, you know, it's 1 form instead of 2 that you'll have to be completed. So I have packets of the new forms. So if you guys want to take them with you, you totally can, or you can find them on transaction desk, whatever you like. But Jim and Don are having classes, and if you want, I have some notes over when I took their class, and I can go over that with you guys today if you want to. So I had 2 hours scheduled out for this class, so it's whatever you guys need for that. And then, you guys pass this around if you want a copy of them. Employment agreements. The sellers and the buyers are stapled, so it's just 1.
I have specific questions.
Okay.
Because Wim helped me move my under contract file from .loop.
Okay.
PDF emailed it to DocuSign, and then from DocuSign, just signed it in.
Yeah.
Me.
Yes.
Okay. But somewhere in that, like, I have it now that it shows that I'm under contract, but, like, if you hit that opportunity and it's the commission part.
Is this a buyer or a seller?
This is a seller.
Okay. And it is under contract?
Yes.
Okay. So now you need the commission part.
There's nothing here.
So you have to go in and click offer. So, there you go. Okay. Oh, no, you're good. So you just click add new offer. So in order to move through the process, you have to enter an offer. If you're not wanting to enter your multiple offers to send an offer comparison, okay, that's fine. Obviously, the more information we fill out, the smarter our technology is going to get. However, you just go in and add an offer. So let's walk through this, because that's a good point. We can kind of do this together.
So this did have multiple offers, but I don't care. So
You
on
just
this,
need
can I
at
just
least-
put accepted offer?
Yeah, so you just have to at least add whatever offer was accepted. So if I have an offer come through, you're able to say, okay, what do you want to call this offer? So I may say it's Harrison offer, I don't know. Whatever you want to label it, you can, offer 1, offer 2. Then it creates the offer. So the only thing required that you have to add, okay, there we go. The only thing that's required is this stuff in asterisks, but obviously you want to put in as much information as possible if you're going to want to do an offer comparison. So it's going to say, okay, what's the name? When did they offer it? When was the closing date? So if I say the closing date is going to be October 10th, then I click parties. It's going to ask who are the parties. So since I'm the seller, then it's going to ask who the buyer is. So I'm going to say Mr. Buyer. I can spell today. You can put their email, phone, fax if they have a fax, and their address if you want, but again, it's not required. You can mark if they're pre-approved or pre-qualified. Then it's going to ask who the agent is on the other side of the transaction. So you can put that information in. You can put their email and phone number in. It'll ask you what are the terms. So how much money is cash? How much is going to be financed to equal to the sales price? If I said 200,000 is going to be financed, 40,000 cash, then that should equal my sales price. If there's any earnest money, you can put that there. Termination, if they're gonna, buyer will give notice of termination within blank days after contract. Any seller's concessions, you can add that in. Again, it's not required, but more information the better. If there's any pros or cons to this offer, and then the summary of the offer. And once I click save, then I have that offer listed. So here's my, so then I'm able to go through and compare these offers. But I only need one offer entered so I can accept it so that I can create my commission.
So basically, you're kind of filling this out like right off your contract, it looks like, right?
Yeah, yeah.
With all these dates and everything you want.
Yeah, so whenever they submit an offer, you can just take that information in and just enter it. And then once you're ready to accept it, so I just, let me change it, act like I didn't accept an offer. So whenever you enter an offer, then you can say accept or reject, what one you want to accept. And so if I say accept, then I'm able to start entering my commissions. So even though your opportunity may be listed as in the under contract phase of this, doesn't mean that you can go ahead and move forward because you have to enter an offer to show that you went under contract.
That's all.
Yeah, great question. What was your other question, Lisa? Just to make sure I can answer it.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Okay, you already answered that one.
So your advice right now is to take anything that we're gonna be closing on like the next month and get it in here and not worry about all the other things in our loop at this point.
Correct.
Yeah, that's gonna be, we're gonna be able to report that when you do that
Yes.
link thing. So just get things that are gonna be closing and get those in our opportunities.
Yes. And if you have a lot of, it wouldn't be a bad thing since their compliance is still going to check until the end of the month. If you have stuff that hasn't been submitted for review, go ahead and submit it for review as much as you can so it gets approved and not linked. So it's one less thing you have to worry about when you bring it into command. And then whenever you're able to tie in your dot loop in, then you can just bring those documents over or just, you know, bring it in that way. Yeah. Melissa, do you have any questions? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And again, as you take it and you're like, okay, I have questions, email me, call me, text me. Or if you're like, okay, I think I have a lot, let's just meet. We can schedule a one-on-one and we can just kind of go over it. Yeah. And we can just break it down.
When did you say you start using DocuSign?
Our forms won't be loaded in DocuSign until like the middle of November.
So everything we're pulling over to command, we still are gonna do signatures and rate sheets there.
Signatures and
So we're gonna
forms
kind
and
of
documents.
it's gonna like double both counting.
Kind of. So DocuSign really isn't a thing right now, so it's kind of like been pushed to the back. Dotloop you'll use to get signatures, edit forms, so if you need to put a text box over something, things like that, because that's not in command. Or the forms themselves, you'll get that all out of Dotloop. Command will just be for, okay, once I'm ready to submit for compliance, I'll move that document in there. And then eventually we'll be all able to all tie into one. Yeah. But majority of all of your transactional process will be handled in command. It's just the signatures and the forms. Yeah. Yeah, and the green sheets you can still use through Dotloop or go through the back end of mykw.kw.com. Yeah.
What was the date for the MAR forms?
The MAR forms we're trying to switch over as soon as possible. So October 1. Yeah. And then the measurement disclaimer, if you're not using them, then compliance will probably send back a message or so. But again, it's not like the GSBR contract is no longer valid. If you still use the designated agent and the employment agreement, those two combined are still okay to use. We're just trying to switch over to MAR. We believe it provides more protection. It's one form instead of two. And we're just trying to speak one general language within the whole brokerage as we grow. So, yeah. Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions? No? Okay. Great. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording then.